Jones.
My name is Julie Jones, and is this on?
Yeah, just you have to speak right into it.
Can you hear me? No.
It was on.
Hello?
Yeah,
Is that better?
that's
Okay, my name is Julie Jones. I live in Bandon. My husband and I are co-presidents of Bandon Woodlands Community Association. Can anybody in the hallway hear me? No?
you just have to really speak into that.
Okay. Well, it's unfortunate that we can't accommodate all the people that are standing in the hallway. And those people should have an opportunity to be able to come in here and at least hear what everyone has to say. Open letter to the Coos citizens of Coos County, on Thursday, November 18th, Oregon Resources Corporation presented a document to the Board of Commissioners purporting to be a waiver of the county's interest in exploration rights for 466 acres of county land north of Whiskey Run Lane and West Beaver Hill Road. This document was, in fact, a draft lease for surface and mineral rights on county forest lands. At that time, ORC management began lobbying members of the Chamber of Commerce and FONSI and SCDC to pressure the Board of Commissioners to sign the lease without modification. ORC claimed that if the lease was not signed immediately, the county would impede ORC's ability to get permits and could possibly cost the county up to approximately $130,000 per acre in future royalties. In fact, the only impediments on ORC's ability to acquire proper permits have been their own, by way of providing insufficient information to the permitting agencies, and then when information is available, not delivering the information on a timely basis, thus causing further delays. As far as the potential revenue to the county goes, this figure cannot be accurately ascertained without proper exploration of the county forest ORC is attempting to lease. ORC does not need to lease county forest to get a waiver for exploration only. ORC does not intend to share the results of the exploration with the county until the expiration of the lease, 10 to 20 years in the future. This is not a good way to do business. One of the reasons for the rush to sign the lease is that it contains language that, if not closely scrutinized, would give ORC total control over the leased forest lands, regardless of whether mining activities were taking place or not. This means absolute control over the public's right to use the forest for hunting, target shooting, hiking, off-roading, fishing, mushrooming, bough picking, whatever. More onerous, however, is the section of the lease that deals with the status of the lease should ORC fail to decide to go out of business. According to Section 10, the lease would automatically be assigned to Macquarie, I'm not sure the proper pronunciation, Macquarie Bank in Australia. In other words, ORC wants to be able to use county forests as collateral for loans from a foreign bank. At this point, I would like to take a look at some of the testimony presented by ORC management to the commissioners that has brought us to this point. 1, there is no chromium in the chromite sands. This was proved false by ORC's own water monitoring. Chromium-6 does not occur in nature, only in labs. This was stated after ORC had information from their own monitoring wells that CR6 was present naturally. ORC intentionally withheld this information from the commissioners until members of Bandon Woodlands Community Association brought it to the attention of the commissioners 4 months later. The monitoring wells were placed in the middle of the loads. They were not. They were placed uphill and downhill of the commercially viable loads. This may have produced lower levels of CR6 than otherwise. There is no gold or platinum in the chromite sands, according to ORC originally. If this is the case, why has the very lease ORC has entered into had a previous, precious metals clause? Also, ORC stated in an article published in Mining and Engineering magazine, October 2010, an issue that gold and platinum are recoverable at these sites. The gold and the platinum will be replaced into the pits, is what they originally said also. Hard to sell it if you're returning it to the mine. Finally, ORC, through its attorneys, Stoll Reeves, is attempting to engage itself in a federal lawsuit challenging the permits issued to ORC and the Army Corps of Engineers and National Marine Fisheries Service. Perhaps the county would be wise to wait the outcome of this case before obligating themselves to the citizens of this county to a lease that could have such long-term effects. In conclusion, we at Bandon Woodlands Community Association believe this lease should not be signed in its present state. The county risks too much to give control of one of its primary assets to an unproven, contentious, and foreign-owned company that is so far has proved itself to be less than reliable or transparent about its stated goals and potential effects of their project on the future of Coos County. And on behalf of Bandon Woodlands Community Association, we're requesting that you do not sign this lease. Thank you.
Commissioners, I appreciate this time. My name is Timm Slater, the Executive Director of the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce Business Association representing a little over 600 members, which is about, composed of 600 members representing about every facet of the area's economy. Well, you know, this has been a long process. It's gone on for quite a while. We compliment the board on both the process you used and the product you produced. This can well serve as a template for future opportunities if in fact you want to look at them. So let's look at a few highlights from that.
So we haven't been dithering?
Let's talk about the process. The process was both deliberate and detailed in its approach to this project. You spent over 4 years and thousands of dollars to get the answers from the experts and from the state agencies to all the technical issues that you've identified. Safety. You provided in this lease the requirements to have an operations plan submitted and approved by the commissioners prior to mining operations. Not only specifically addresses the unique site, but also allows for incorporating any lessons learned from previous operations in the next operation plan. Revenue. The federal, in lieu of harvest payments on ONC lands, are due to sunset. Extending of those payments is far from guaranteed, and they provide significant funding for our roads, the sheriff's office, and other county services. The projected royalty revenues provided in this area, which were reduced to a per acre basis to make them at least compatible with what you were looking at timber-wise, range from $25,000 to $150,000 per acre mine, depending on the quality of the ore. In addition to providing financing or financial resources for today's needs, it's also been discussed about using part of this revenue stream to purchase additional timberlands and expand that county forest and add significantly to that important part of your budget in the future. With the investments of up to $75 million by the lessee in processing and mining structures, over the long term of this project, local taxing districts stand to profit from the proposed operations as well. Okay, employment. ORC and their contractors will hire and have hired local people who are qualified to do the work required. Local companies will be used to mine and haul the materials. With the private land and mineral owners' leases and the potential leases of Coos County lands, this project has a projected lifespan of 30 years. Now, 30 years of wages, supply purchases, taxes, community support sounds quite sustainable when you look at the nation's current economic future. This board has negotiated this agreement, is totally versed in all its requirements and safeguards. Now is the time to execute the lease and access agreement. We strongly support the document you considered this afternoon and urge your approval.
Tim.
Sir.
I was writing things down here. You're talking about the 25 to 150,000.
Mm-hmm.
So we want 30,000 as a guarantee. It doesn't seem unreasonable.
Well, you know, that's as it's removed and available to you.
Yeah.
And really, they don't have it in hand till they mine it and remove it.
I got that. But when
Okay.
they mine it per acre, that would be the base amount.
Well, assuming on each acre what they got out of it.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty close to what'll be there. But quite honestly, each acre will differ as depending on what the quality material
We
you got
know
out
some
of it
may
that
be
way.
150,000, some may be 5,000. I'm not asking for 100, but I'm asking for the minimum that's being put out to the public.
Well, I think it's a good baseline.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
We've been dealing on the other side. We've been trying, Kevin and Nikki and I have been trying to get them to put a dollar amount in the lease, and up till this point, we haven't been able to do that. It's 3.5% of something.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do a cost-benefit analysis of timber versus something. We have to have some kind of base to compare the two to. If it's $2,000 we're going to get, at 3.5%, obviously the timber's a better deal. I got to know that it's a better deal than the timber before I feel comfortable in signing the lease. Okay?
Well, I appreciate that. I understand that.
Good.
Obviously, minerals is not my side, timber is my side.
I know.
And it's a minimal amount of acreage that you deal with to produce the amount of material that they're coming out. And quite honestly, what they're doing is, as they create it, you get the particular share that comes out of it that way.
Good.
And honestly, I think the other side of it being too is, as you should dedicate part of this revenue stream into purchasing more timberland, and more timberland in the area you want to be, because if you talk to Bob, he'd like to be up Daniels Creek and have material up there, which creates the greater value for you that way. You have in your forest one of the unique things in Oregon, and it has been I believe you have the largest county forest in Oregon, and it's the most productive that comes out that way. So it would make only sense, as 85% of Coos County is timberland, to utilize that and build towards the future to put that together.
But it may come down to, and you, as you stated, the ONC funds are going away. We're going to get 42% in September. I call it 9/11, this next year. And then we get zero. And 42% roughly is about 2 million and then nothing. So it may be that the mining pays for a deputy, which is cool. I really like that. But I got to know it's better than growing trees at this point. Otherwise, I'm throwing timber dollars away.
I appreciate that.
And timber jobs and that sort of thing.
But I believe it'll be a deal for you that will enable you to address some of those revenue
And if we get
issues.
lots of revenue, we buy more timberland, great. I'm all for that too.